Okay, so does everyone have Android Studio up first of all? Can I get some verbal confirmation?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'll honestly restart this image view because I think we were a bit in a rush when we ended this yesterday, so I'll quickly restart that. And if you guys already have, that's fine. I'll just only take a minute or two. So I'm gonna open with my grid and sign and do image view, enter. And for now, I'm just gonna ignore the width and the height. And what I'll do is I'm gonna define the ID. So this is gonna be the player card. So we're gonna have this card be this left card right here, this ace, and could just define it as, let me type that again, ID. Once the Android.ID suggestion comes up, just hit enter, and then we're gonna do, this @ sign right here, represents the ID folder, and we can call this one player card. And there's our ID now. This is still red because we don't have a defined width or height, nor do we have the constraints, but we're gonna ignore that momentarily. And then we'll also do the backslash right here because we have to do that to close the image view. So I'm done with that now. And now we can also use the source attribute, which is known as SRC, and that's an attribute that we cover that's specific to image views. And that attribute essentially allows us to refer to the drawable folder and take, one of the images or one of the image assets from there and put it on screen. So I'm going to do SRC, that'll come up, and then we can do any card you want, doesn't really matter. So just type in, the @ sign, the drawable, and then whatever card you want to do, whatever image asset you want to do, it's fine. It doesn't have to be a specific card because we're going to be altering the cards in the back end. So I'll just do card 7. And it's not going to show up now because we don't have a height or width entered. So I'll wait for you guys to get to this point, then move forward. Are you guys caught up or no?
No.
Okay.
Wait, did we do this yesterday?
Yeah. I just wanted to. It was a bit rushed, and I don't think I explained everything properly, so I just wanted to do this image view thing again today, just this last part. So yeah. Okay, are we good to go now?
It shows error for like Android source.
What's the error? What's showing on?
Oh wait, I just realized it's because I still have what was done yesterday.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, just wanted to go over everything again and just kind of clear the confusion, fresh start. So yeah. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. If anyone else is still having problems, then just speak up. If not, then we'll continue. So now we have, the source, and the reason there's no width and height is because we haven't really entered anything yet. So for now, we'll just quickly do wrap content just so something appears. And now that we have, this wrap content right here, what we can actually do is instead of, constantly just kind of playing around with image sizes and trying to enter like random values here, what we can do is we can kind of just manipulate this using the sizing tool right here. You see this arrows pop up, right here, or right here actually, just to make this smaller. And we can make it, around the size of the screen. So I'm just gonna, play around, and I think around that big looks pretty solid. So if I do that, it'll automatically enter the values in for me. And I think this is a bit too big still. So I can make this a bit smaller. I think a little bit smaller. And I think that's a pretty good size right there. So what you guys can do is you guys can try playing out the sizing tool and, maybe just enter these sizes if you want. But yeah, I'll just give you guys a chance to kind of play with that tool for a little bit. And then we also need to enter the constraint layouts now. So if we're looking at this constraint, it looks to be in pretty reasonably in the center of the screen. So we can start by horizontally or vertically centering the card, and then we can worry about the margins later. So let's get started on that. So I'm going to hit enter, enter again, and then I'll do a, first of all, we'll do the actual horizontal constraint. Sorry about that. We'll do a left to left constraint. So do left to left of, and then if I do parent, we're now constrained to the left side of the screen. The reason it's not showing anything is because the card is already placed on the left side of the screen, but now it's actually constrained to there. So that's our horizontal constraint. Now we need to do the vertical constraint. And since this is centered, we have to do a constraint both at the top and the bottom, just to kind of have those cancel each other out. And we end up with something that's horizontally centered. So I'll do a constraint. If you just do top to top, it'll pop up. So top to top, and we'll do parent. And now we're still on the top, so that's why it really didn't change anything. But once we do bottom to bottom, it will center itself or vertically. Put ID and hit parent, and there we go. So I'll give you guys a moment to do that. Let me know when you guys are done.
What does parent even mean?
Okay, so parent means the actual screen itself. So what you'll notice is when I do a left to left of parent, what it does is it takes the left edge of this card and it puts it on the left edge of the screen. And then when I do constraint top to top of, it's gonna take, if I quickly erase this line of code right here, if I erase this line of code, it's going to constrain the very top edge of the card to the top of the screen. And the screen is pretty much parent. It's like the whole entire visible screen. And then if I do bottom to bottom, what it does is it cancels my top constraint, and it'll put the object in the center because there's constraints at the bottom and the top. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, but why can't you do top to bottom?
Because what will happen?
You can, but it would fall off the screen.
Yeah, pretty much, because it's going to take the top of this card right here and it's going to constrain it to the bottom of the screen, so it wouldn't be visible. At the very bottom of the screen, and it's gonna cover the score. But there you go. And if we'll do that, then we're back to the middle. Everyone good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is still kind of really close to the screen and, it doesn't really look that good. It doesn't look professional. And if you go to the UI, there's a slight gap right there. So let's add that with our good old margin. So if I enter and I do a margin left, so I'm going to use my arrow keys, hit enter, and we can try maybe 10 dp and see how that looks. 10 dp looks a bit too close, so maybe 20. That's what we're going to do. I think 20 looks pretty good. So we're going to stick with 20 dp, and there is our user card right there. So I'll give everyone a chance to do that. Let me know when you guys are good. Are we good to go? Okay. So now we need to make the CPU card, this card right here. And this is a lot of the very same code that we've done for this card right here. All we need to do is we don't have to change the source because again, we're actually going to be manipulating the cards in the back end, but just for aesthetic purposes, we can even manipulate these, we can even manipulate the card right here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this code because a lot of it is the exact same. Here we go. And now we have, obviously the IDs are coinciding. So first let's change that. That's the first thing we can do. So let's make this CPU card. So now we have a good ID. This is a distinct image view now. The problem is it's laying right on top of this one. And the reason that is because we have a left to left constraint right here, which is constraining this one right on top of this image view right here, but we need this card to be on the right. So what we need to do is we need to take left right here, make it right. And this all capital. And then we do right here. I misspelled that, that's why it's not working. There we go. And now we have this constraint to the right. And just for aesthetic purposes, I'm going to personally edit the card. So let me go and do that. So we can do card 12, why not? Put a queen on there. So now we have that, and now we need to edit this. Instead of having a left margin, we need to make a right margin because there is no more left constraint now. So we would need a right margin. And I'm going to edit this to right. And there we go. Now we have the second card on the screen as well. So I'll let everyone get caught up with that and finish up the second card. Is everyone good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now we only have two more elements left. We have the logo and we have the steel button right here. So does anyone want to help me with the logo? Because up to point, it's been me doing all the code. So can anyone tell me what type of element we're going to need for the logo? The logo is this, by the way, this war thing right here. So can anyone tell me what element we're going to need? Rithvik, how about you? What element do I need for
the draw one?
For this image right here, this war.
Image view.
Exactly. Okay, so I need an image view. So I'm gonna do that. So I entered an image view. Now, what should I do next? What should I do next now? What do I need to enter here to make the image view pop up?
ID.
Okay, that's good. So I'm doing ID. Let's make this. What do you want to call this ID? Just call it logo, maybe. Make it logo. Okay, what's next, Rithvik? What do we need to do next? Rithvik, are you there? So Rithvik there?
Yeah, I was having trouble unmuting. So now I have to set the size and constraints.
Yeah, there's actually one more thing we need to do, but yeah, we can do it in any order. So we can start with the width. So I'm gonna do. Actually, no, we need to do this. We need to do this first. We can't
The ending
set.
tag.
Sorry.
The ending tag.
The ending. Yeah, we can do the ending tag. That's not what I'm looking for, but that's also important. So we'll do that. There's one thing that we still haven't done for this image here that is absolutely necessary. Now take a look at this image here right here and see what we're missing. Besides constraints.
Source.
Exactly. Yeah, we need a source. So the source, and now we need from the Java folder, there should be something called logo. We'll have to kind of go through this. Deal logo. Looks like the deal button right here. We'll see what this is. Is this the deal? Let me just quickly enter something here. This is the deal button. Do I not have the logo in here? Let's see what it's called in my folder.
It's called War Logo.
Yeah.
Okay, logo. Okay. Let me try to find that in my Jobs folder. If I don't, then I can quickly add it in here. Deal logo. Oh, it is right here. I don't know why it didn't pop up for me. That's odd. Let's just type in at. Oh, this is the width. There we go. War logo. Okay, so now we don't have anything. Why is the image not appearing? Can anyone help me with that? Why is it not appearing there? What do we need to do?
You have to define the size.
Okay, great. So let's do wrap content. Looks a bit too big, so let's make this a bit smaller now with the size. I would say that looks pretty good right there. Okay, so now I have a size on this thing as well. So how do I get it to be in this exact position right here? Can anyone help me with that? Ken, I don't think I've heard from you. Why don't you try?
What I did was I moved it, and then it said absolute x equals something and absolute y equals something else.
Absolute X? I'm not sure what you're talking about. We need to constrain.
I'll share screen.
Okay, go ahead.
Like this. Right here. I just moved this and then you show up.
Okay, you're using something else. Okay, that works, I guess. If you want to. Okay, what you're doing though is you're making the X and you're using the X and the Y coordinates, which while that works, it's gonna appear a bit odd on a different screen. And the reason I say that is because say we have a tablet, right? And the tablet has a bigger screen, then the X and the Y coordinates wouldn't account for that. Whereas if you center something, it would be better. So while what you're doing works, it's only going to work for one device essentially, or like a similar size device. If you use it on a tablet, it's going to be kind of lopsided and off. So
Okay.
yeah, so you want to refrain from using those. So what have we been using so far, Ken? What have we been using so far to kind of get our positions down? Can you
right of top to top.
Sorry, that you cut out a bit.
And do things.
What'd you say? I think you cut out.
And the device pixels.
You're cutting out a bit. I can't really hear you. What's the?
I think he's,
What is he saying?
I think he's saying like the top to top, the right to bottom.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's correct. Okay, good job. So yeah, you want to constrain this to the top because it is closer to the top. So if we do top to top, then we get parent. Good. So now we're constrained to the top, and Now we need to do, as you said, the right to right and the left to left to center it horizontally. Good job, Rithvik. I just could not hear you. Thank you for clarifying, Rohan. So let's do right to right. Parent. We need to do to center, we need to do left to left. And there we go. But now this is a bit too close to the top. I want this to be a little bit closer to the cards, a little bit down. Can anyone help me do that? What do I have to do to make this move down just a little bit?
Oh, you use margin down or bottom.
Margin, I would use margin top because the margin that I'm making, it's going to be between the top of the image, right? It's going to be on the top of the image and the top of parent. So I'd have to use margin top. But
Okay.
Good job. The concept was right. So margin top, and then I just do maybe 20 dp. Let's see how much we have on this right here. Definitely have more than 20 dp. Definitely need more. Let's try maybe 30 dp. Maybe 40. I think 40 is good. I think 40 dp looks pretty good to what we have right here. So now we have our logo in place, and now we only have one thing left, and that is the deal button right here. So can anyone tell me what I want to do, what element I'm going to use for
Image view.
Button.
Can't you just
Button.
control?
No, button.
It is button. Good job. Whoever said button, you were right. Image view, that was a trick question. If you could use an image view, but the purpose of this is to be, you need to press the button to actually, move to, or not move to the next page, sorry, to draw the new set of cards. So image view it would look right, but it wouldn't actually work when you went into the back end to program it. So we will be using a button right here. So use a button. And now we can play around with the height and the width later, but first I need my ID. So we can just call this deal button. And I forgot my @ sign. Never forget your @ sign, otherwise you'll get an error. So @ID, and then we can do deal button. There we go. No error now. There's nothing popping up because we don't have a width or height. But first we need to do the source, the SRC. So let's do that. Oh, why? No. Android. Let me try typing this out.
In this video, you will learn how to
Good
publish
God,
an
let me just
Android
try copying
APK
and pasting
file
this
to the
down.
Amazon App Store.
Oh, maybe it's because I don't have the
So the first thing you want to do
ending
is go to
I don't
developer.amazon.com,
put the ending in.
and you want to create an account or sign in.
Let's
And I already have an account, so I'm just going to sign in with this account. And there's 4
And we want to make this the logo. Here we go. So now we have that. And now for the width, I'm just going to make this wrap content so I can use my sliders. Why is it popping up like that? It's kind of odd. That's kind of odd. Ayush, are you there? For us to use a custom image asset for a button, do we have to use an image view, or can we use the button attribute? Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So we type in background then. So background, and then why is it showing up in a weird color? That's odd. Why is okay. Okay, my mistake then. Button was right, I thought, but image view is the right answer. So we gotta use an image view right here. So let's do image view and I'll pick an ID. Let's just do the enders. Okay, so we have ID do the deal button. Or don't throw my @ again. Deal button. There we go. And now enter. Let's do our source. Deal logo. And reason it's not popping up is because we don't have our height. So to content. This looks a bit too big. Make it a bit smaller. I think that's the right size. So now we just need to do the constraints. So looking at our UI here, I'm thinking what we can do is we can horizontally and vertically center it and then just place a margin vertically so it pops down a bit below the cards. So can anyone help me first of all horizontally center this? What constraints do I need to horizontally center this?
Right to right and left to left.
Exactly. So do right to right of parent, and I do left to left of, and do parent. There we go. So now we have this horizontally centered, and now for the vertical, we just need top to top of parent, and then need bottom to bottom of parent. Is everyone caught up with that, or do I need to give you guys a little bit more time?
Can you give me a little time?
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'm done.
Okay. Does anyone else need more time?
I need more time.
Okay.
Wait, why didn't we just put the deal button all the way to the bottom and then just put a big margin bottom of like 80 or something?
We could have done that too. I can do that as well if you want me to. What I can do is I can once we get this done, I can copy and paste it. I can show you how I would do that too. Either way works. It's really, depends on how you want to do it. Is everyone good to go now or not yet? Okay, I'll take that as everyone's good to go. Okay, so now we're just gonna put our margin. Rohan, can you tell me what margin we're gonna use? What particular one?
I don't really know.
Okay, yeah, I can explain that. So we're gonna use margin top because think about it this way. Whatever direction you want to move this button or whatever direction you want to move something in, you have to use the exact opposite margin of that. So we wanted to move this. Go ahead.
I thought margin top meant like you'll just move it from the top that much. So wouldn't this just go up again?
No, margin top means it moves it away from the top. So it moves it towards the bottom. So that's what I'm saying. Whatever direction you want to move something in, use the opposite margin. And if I move this, if I want to move this in the left, say example, then I would use margin right. And I'll demonstrate that really quickly. I'll just do different margins and see which direction it goes in. So let's do margin top. And And say I'll just do like a really big difference just so we see immediately how much it moves down. Let's just do 100. We'll even go like 200 dp. Yeah, you see that moved it down to the bottom, right? And now if I do margin bottom, or let's just delete this, or let me just comment this line out. Or actually, no, it's fine. I'll just do more. I'll just delete the line, or I'll copy really quickly. See, now it's back to the center, right? So if I do now margin bottom, it'll move it up 200 dp. See, it moves it up, right? Now if I do, starting from the original position, if I do margin right, or margin, I'll just do left, it's closer. So margin left, this will move it to the right. So you move to the right, and if I do now margin right, I do 200 dp, moves it to the left. So there you go. So let's go back to putting this approximately right there. So let's go back to margin top because we're moving this button down.
It's 500 dp.
Okay, we can try 500, that works. Margin top, let's see what 500 does. Okay, 500 I feel like is a bit too down. Maybe let's try 450. Maybe 400, I think. I personally don't like, just personal preference, but I personally don't like the button being on the same level as the U and the CPU. But that's just me. If you like it there, you can put it there. I put mine a little bit above. So there, we have the complete UI now. And if you want, I can actually quickly demonstrate how we could constrain this to the bottom and then move it up. So I'll quickly do that as well, just for your guys's learning. I'll do that. So I'll copy this image view right here. Or actually, I'll just make a new image view, it's fine. And I'll just end up deleting that one once we're done. So image view right here. We'll do the ID, and we'll just make this. You guys don't have to do this. You guys can just watch me do this. So we'll do add ID, and then let's just make this, deal button 2. That's what we're doing with this. And then let's get the source, drawable deal logo, and we put the adjuster width and our height here, the quotation mark there. So the reason it's not showing up right now is because we don't have the closers. So those, I added those to the wrong spot. That's it. Like that. I don't know what's glitching out. Oh, it's because I have an extra quotation mark. There we go. Okay. So now it showed up right there. So let's just make it drag and drop right here, a bit smaller. And now let's horizontally constrain it first. So I'm going to do the left to left, and then the right to right. And now it's horizontally, and now it can constrain it to the bottom, like Rohan was saying. So the bottom to bottom of constraint. Now it's constrained to the very bottom, and now if I want to move this up, what margin would I use, Rohan?
Margin bottom.
Exactly. If I do margin bottom, and I do maybe 200 dp, that's a bit too much. And 25 dp. There you go. So either way works. But now let's delete this code right here. And now we are just left with our finished UI. So there you guys have it. We're done with this UI now. So what you guys want to do now is you want to save this project, or you actually don't have to save it. If you close it out, it'll still be there next time you open Android Studio. This should pop up. And tomorrow we'll be kind of going into more depth regarding the Java code and how Java works as a language. And then the day after that, I think we'll start coding the backend. So we're going to be coding the backend is going to be this Java folder right here. And then there is a main activity file right here. And this is where we're going to quickly open this right here. This is where we're going to start coding the Java. And, quick things we're going to do is we're going to program the deal button. So when someone clicks the deal button, it's going to bring out new cards right here. And we're also going to program the score to actually change and start at 0, obviously. But for now, we've just put, these starting values. So program the score to increment accordingly based on which card is greater. And we'll be doing all of that tomorrow. Ayush, do we have anything else for today?
Let's see. So covered all the UI for the war card game. Does anyone have any questions remaining?
Wait, I have one question.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday.
Or sorry, Monday. My mistake.
Okay, because I thought there was class on the weekend.
Yeah, Monday. We'll be back Monday. Yeah, any more questions?
No.
Okay. Do we want to maybe start the Java PowerPoint if we have a little bit of time left? Are you sure? No.
Do you want to? Yeah, I mean, we can start. Do you want to pull it up, or should I pull it up?
Yeah, I can pull it up. Yeah. All right, so we'll do around 15 minutes of Java. So class. Okay, great. I think I have it up. So I'll start screen sharing. We definitely won't get through the entire thing, but can get a little bit of a head start. Because there's actually a lot to go over with Java, and we're gonna have to be slow when we go with Java. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So present. You guys already have your cameras on. Definitely take notes. This is going to be very note intensive. There's a lot of new concepts. It's gonna be like I think honestly this is much tougher than XML. XML is kind of the easier part. So this is really where things are going to kind of take off with Java. So it's probably good that we're getting a head start on this and we can kind of take our time with this and get an extra 15 to 20 minutes. That's our schedule. So now we're going to Java basics right here. And there's also Android backend Java, and I'll quickly explain the distinction between these two. So Java is, itself a computer language, and essentially it gives you the basic functionalities you need to, write a program. But Android backend Java essentially is like a library that Android makes for you, and it's specific to when you're developing an app because you need to, do things like switch screens. You need to replace images, and this is stuff that the basic Java library does not have. So we're going to be covering first just the basic Java library and then the Android Java library. This might seem a bit confusing, but once we kind of get into it, it'll make more sense. So like I said earlier, definitely take notes. This is going to be pretty complex stuff. It's going to be more complex. So we'll start with the basics though. Can anyone tell me what a backend is?
It's what
You don't see.
on the website.
I think you both started talking.
Stuff you don't see that makes stuff happen.
Pretty much, yeah. In simple terms, it's what people really don't see, and it's kind of all the code behind the scenes that's running the app, that's changing the UI and making manipulations for us to interact with them. So in that case, when we press the deal button, the backend is going to it's going to put a new set of cards out and it's going to increment the score accordingly. That's the backend essentially on the war card game app, for example. And I think Ayush, you can talk about the intro to backend.
Yeah. So backend is, you guys browser, right? So backend is really what makes the app function and adds that logic that really makes your app come alive. And without backend, you just have a screen. And if you just look at the screen that we have right now, right, on the UI, we just have a couple of cards. They're just random cards that we have, and we have a button, deal button, and 2 random scores on the bottom. And yeah, that looks good, but how does that work? How do you increment that score to go up when someone's card is higher than the other? How do you flip that card around? How do you change the card when the deal button is pressed, right? So that's everything that includes backend, actually making the stuff work. So you'll develop your backend in Android Studio through Java or Kotlin. So we're going to be using Java in this course, obviously. And Java basically is an object-oriented programming language that allows you to essentially develop there's a lot of applications for it, and Android is one of them. There's also, you can program, if any of you guys do like FTC, First Tech Challenge Robotics, you'll be doing Java for that, and just there's a bunch of different applications for Java in the real world, and it's just an overall really good language to learn, so this is going to be good to learn for you guys.
So we'll talk about some, basic Java terminology. So first definitely take notes on this. I definitely encourage this. And a lot of this might
referring to all of these terms like throughout the lesson.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what these mean, then it might be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. So, this might seem a bit confusing, but as we kind of show you the code, it will definitely make more sense. So first of all, a variable. So a variable is essentially a placeholder for your data, and it's kind of like almost a sticky note, for example. If you guys have maybe a sticky note on your desk, and that sticky note has some piece of information that you wrote on it, then that right there is kind of what a variable is like in programming. You're going to assign some piece of data to this named kind of sticky note, essentially. And what it'll do is you can manipulate that variable, you can add, subtract, and do calculations on it and whatever you want onto it. And it's kind of like it's a manipulative piece of data, essentially. And then we have a class, and all of your code in Java is inside a class, and I'll kind of show this really quickly. So if I open up Android Studio and go to main activity, this right here, you see the public class. So this is kind of where all your code is going to go inside. You have an opening bracket, similar to the greater than sign in XML, and then we have a closing bracket. It automatically highlights those. So this is kind of your class, and all of your code is going to be inside of class. And then after that, we have a method, and a method is kind of like a specific piece of a class that runs, a specific task. And the best way I can explain this is, for example, the human body. So the human body is a class, right? But then there's different systems within the human body. Like there's the respiratory system, there's the digestive system, there's the circulatory system, and all of these systems are doing specific tasks, right? Like the digestive system is, it's intaking the food that you're eating and, extracting nutrients from that. And the circulatory system is moving blood around your body and giving you oxygen, spilling oxygen to all your organs and muscles. And then we have, the immune system, which is preventing disease and all those. So each of these systems has a different task, right? And that's kind of like a method. It's like the class is like the entire body of code, and the method is like a specific piece of that class that's performing one specific task. And together, they all work together. They all work together to make that class function properly. So that's what a method is. And a function is an interchangeable term for a method. They both mean the exact same thing. So if we use method or function, they mean the same thing. Like some languages will call it a method, some will call it a function, but it's pretty much interchangeable. And then we have a print statement. And a print statement is pretty much something that displays information onto the log screen. And the log screen is not the actual app itself. It's just kind of like a developer console that only you as like the developer can see as for like testing and debugging purposes. And this will make more sense later when we actually start using it. Okay, usually you can talk about camel case.
Okay, so when you're naming your variables in any programming language, actually, it's always good to use this terminology called camel case. And essentially, it's basic. Okay, just a quick explanation of it. It just look at the camel case at the top. Look at the title of this PowerPoint. It says camel case. What sticks out to you guys about that? What makes it easy to read, and like what sticks out to you about it? Yeah.
Ken?
Some camel case.
I mean, kind of simple right there, but yeah.
Yeah. So basically, whenever you're naming any of your variables, you
That's
want
very broken.
okay.
Guys, if you're not talking, just mute yourself. You can unmute if we call on you or something.
Yeah. So camel case is just a way of naming your variables, and specifically here in Java, it's a really good way to quickly find your variables, and it just makes your code look a lot neater, and it's just a really good way of naming your variables. It's industry standard. Everyone in the programming world, when you grow up, or even when you're just doing projects, really you always want to use this type of variable naming scheme. So basically how it works is the first word has the first letter as lowercase, and all the other words in it have the first letter as uppercase. So let's look at the examples. So the first one, username, right? You have the user, the first letter is U, and that's lowercase, and then the second word there is name, and that first letter of name is capital. Same thing with user password, the U and the P, the bank account, the B and the A, the password confirmed, the P and the C. And then even if you have more than two words, with this last example here, user bank account number confirmation code. It's a huge variable name. It really describes what this variable is, so that's really good for when you're trying to find it. But also, it uses this camel case, which is, if you have all your variables like this, it's really easy to find, and it follows the same methodology. So the first one is user, and the first letter of that is U. So that starts off with lowercase. And
Fabric of our
bank,
world is littered.
Guys, please mute.
confirmation code, all have uppercase,
Fabric of our world.
uppercase letters. And I'm gonna have to mute you.
Yeah, I met because
Okay, I'm muted.
Okay. Yeah, so, you have the, I can actually show you examples of the XML really quickly. If I go to the activity main XML, that's kind of what we're doing with the IDs, the deal button. You have, logo is only one word, CPU card, same thing, player card, same thing, CPU score header, and, so on and so forth. You have the exact same kind of naming scheme right there.
the deal
So-
button just shows as a purple rectangle for me.
The deal button?
It shows as a purple rectangle for me.
Okay, we're way past that. I'll quickly show you the code, but you need to catch up, Ken.
And
This is the
Ken,
code
if
for the
you,
deal
if you
button.
have any questions, please ask it while we're talking about that topic, so that we can help you right away. Like Rohan and Ritvik have been doing. It's really good, so we can, so we don't have to fall behind. So, yeah, Krish, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the code. If you still have a button, replace it with an image view, and then you need to get the source and make it the deal logo and do these constraints right here. Are you good now, Ken? Ken, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, so we're good now. No one needs any help with the XML, right? Everyone has this UI done, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, quick exercise with camel case. I actually want everyone to send their name and camel case in the chat right now. Your first and last name. So go ahead and do that. In camel case.
What about middle name?
Middle, yeah, sure. You can do middle name as well. It's up to you. In camel case, I want everything to be in camel case.
Chris, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh yeah, I'll just okay. Let me do that while they send their name.
Oh man, come on.
Oh no. Oh no.
That's good, Rithvik. That's really good. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on now with camel case. That's good.
Rohan, Ken, those look good.
Yep, that all looks really good. All right, awesome.
Wait,
Okay, so we'll
just
move
to
on.
clear, just 1 second.
Yeah.
Camel case is just like the first word has no caps, and then the second word just.
Every word except the first word is capitalized.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, awesome. So now, next slide. Oh, we just did that. But yeah, so this is kind of more about variables. You can talk about this.
Okay, so here is us defining a variable, right? Have we gone? I don't know. I don't remember. Have we gone over the primitive data types yet, Krish?
No, we
Okay,
haven't.
I'll just explain it briefly then. So there's actually this thing called primitive data types, which we'll talk about later. But that's what the first. So when you're defining a variable, first of all, there's 3 different pieces of it. So there's firstly the data type, which we'll go over later. Currently, we're using a double, which means a decimal number, and we'll explain that more detail later on and how you can use those. But for now, you can just remember that double means decimal. So that you're defining what the data type is there, and then secondly, you're naming the variable, right? So now you can name this whatever you want. You can name this like, I don't know, you can name it like bank account number or whatever you're naming it. You need to use the camel case that we just taught you. And naming the variables is very important, as we talked about earlier, to name it in a way where you can remember it. So you want to, this variable here is data. You might want to go more specific than that. You can say like user account data, or like for example, we can say like user war card game login data, or something like that. Whatever this data represents, you want to name it that. And so that's what that's what data there is. And then you have to do an equal sign, and that's how you represent that you're assigning that data variable to whatever's on the right side of it. So on the left side of the equal sign, you always have the data type and the variable name, and then once you put an equal sign, then you have the variable value, and this is what you're setting the data equal to. And whenever you refer to data somewhere else, then it's going to be equal to 3.84. So if you say, so for example, later on in the code, you say data times 0, right? Data times 0 would be 0. Or another example, data times 5, right? Then that would be 3.85 times 5, right? So wherever you're accessing data later on will be equal to 3.84. And at the end, this is what every single line of Java needs. It needs a semicolon. And you need that semicolon to end off every single line of code, whether you're defining data, whether you're making a button clickable, doesn't matter. That's just the rule of Java. You need to have a semicolon after every single line of code.
There's like a very few exceptions. Like if you're defining a class, you don't need it, for example.
Yeah.
I'm defining like our class right here, I don't need it. But yeah, as you'll see right here.
And also you don't need it for functions and loops, right?
Exactly, yeah, you don't need it for functions either. But you'll see on every single, the package, if I'm importing a package, if I'm doing other code, I need a semicolon. So keep that in mind. Now we can move on.
We have 3 minutes left.
Okay, if we have 3 minutes, we might want to. I'll quickly explain the analogy. But this is kind of like the analogy I was kind of talking about earlier. So we have this piece of data right here, 3.84, and we have it on a piece of paper. And what we're doing when we're doing a variable is we're taking a sticky note with the variable name on it, and we're putting it on this piece of data on this 3.84. So now this number 3.84, whenever we access it, it's associated with the variable name number, and whenever we times number by any value, it's going to multiply 3.84. It's going to divide 3.84, add or subtract, or whatever we do to 3.84 essentially. That's an analogy that I kind of mentioned earlier with the variables. So that's a good way to kind of think about it. Essentially, you're taking some data on a piece of paper and you're attaching it to a sticky note to identify it. So that's all a variable really is. So I think we'll end off on there with that analogy. And yeah, I think if you guys have any questions, about what we did today, we can answer those. If not, then we can end the call.
Bye.
All right, goodbye. Yeah.
Bye.
Hi.